At 78 years old, I never imagined that my own children would one day plan my funeral before my birthday. Yet that Saturday on Mission Beach in San Diego, a stranger's text message kept me alive. My name is Gloria Peterson. For more than 50 years I was a wife, a mother, and later a widow trying to hold my family together. I had 3 children, Jason, Camille, and Brooke. That afternoon they insisted we spend the day together. We sat under a wide blue umbrella, sharing food and stories while gulls circled overhead. At 2:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with a number I did not recognize. Normally I would ignore it, but the words on the screen made my blood run cold. Leave quietly. Do not alert your kids. Red car, parking lot. My smile froze as their laughter suddenly felt staged. If stories like this help you recognize red flags in your own life, I invite you to subscribe to The Art of Revenge. We share news stories every day that might just protect someone you love. And please, write the city you are watching from so we know how far this message travels. My name is Gloria Peterson, and I had always thought of myself as an ordinary woman with an ordinary life. I grew up in a working-class family, married my high school sweetheart Walter, and together we built 52 years of marriage, filled with both struggles and joy. In September of 2021, Walter passed away after a long illness, leaving me in a house that suddenly felt too large and far too quiet. My 3 children each dealt with the loss in their own way. Jason, my oldest at 55, was the organizer. He liked control, papers, and signatures. Camille, my middle child at 52, was the administrator. She offered to handle my bills and insisted she could make my life easier. Brooke, the youngest at 48, positioned herself as my confidante. She listened to my grief, encouraged me to share my memories, and always wanted to know my future plans. At first I thought their attention meant love. They visited more often than before, asking questions and hovering. But looking back, I realized they were studying me. They were mapping my habits, my finances, and even my emotional state. And in my loneliness, I welcomed it. That July afternoon seemed perfect at first. The sun painted the water gold, families built sandcastles near the shoreline, and laughter drifted across the breeze. My children suggested we spend the day at Mission Beach, saying it would be good for me to get out and enjoy life again. I agreed, hoping this would be a step toward rebuilding the closeness we had lost since Walter's death. We settled under a large blue umbrella not far from a beachside cafe. Jason unpacked sandwiches, Camille fussed over sunscreen, and Brooke shared stories about her co-workers. For the first time in months, I allowed myself to believe we might feel like a family again. But at 2:47 p.m., everything shifted. My phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. At first I thought it was a wrong call. Instead, it was a message that froze me in place. Leave quietly. Do not alert your kids. My hand shook as another message appeared seconds later. It is urgent. Your life depends on it. Red car, parking lot. I looked at my children, laughing together, and in that moment their smiles felt like masks hiding something darker. I rose slowly from my chair and pressed a hand to my forehead. I told my children I felt dizzy from the heat and needed a short walk. Jason immediately offered to come with me, but I waved him off with a smile I hoped looked natural. I promised I would be back soon. With each step toward the parking lot, my heart pounded harder. Who would send such a message? And why mention my children? Then I saw her. Leaning against a red Ford Focus was Tessa Moore, the woman who had cleaned Jason's house for nearly 8 years. She was only 35, a single mother raising her little girl, Ava. I had always respected her, and in return, she had shown me quiet loyalty. Mrs. Peterson, she said, her voice trembling but steady. Thank you for trusting me enough to come. This will sound impossible, but you must believe me, your life is in danger. Your children are not what they seem. Her eyes held both fear and determination, and deep down, I knew she would not have risked everything to warn me, unless it was the truth. Tessa opened her phone with shaking hands and scrolled through a series of photographs. I found these while cleaning Jason's office yesterday, she whispered. The first image made my stomach twist. It was a bank transfer authorization for $950,000, my entire savings with my signature at the bottom. The date was only a week earlier. I stared at the screen, confused. I remembered signing papers at Jason's house that day, but he had told me they were routine health insurance forms. Tessa swiped to the next photo, a legal document granting Jason complete power of attorney over all my assets. My throat tightened. Then came the third picture, a draft of a will that left everything to my 3 children, erasing the charitable gifts I had planned for my church. "This cannot be real," I whispered. "I never agreed to this." Tessa nodded grimly. "Do you remember feeling unusually drowsy that afternoon? Struggling to stay alert?" I did. I had blamed the heat and maybe a glass of wine. But now, Tessa revealed the truth. She showed me another photo, a small bottle from Jason's kitchen labeled bromazepam, along with a vial of a colorless liquid. "They drugged you, Mrs. Peterson," she said softly. "They made you sign without realizing what you were giving away." Tessa drove me straight to the San Diego precinct, her hands gripping the wheel as if letting go might cost us both our lives. Inside, we were ushered into a modest office where Detective Alan Pierce introduced himself. He was a man in his early 50s with a steady gaze that gave me my first sense of safety that day. We laid out the evidence: Tessa's photos, the forged documents, and the suspicious medication bottles. Detective Pierce listened carefully, jotting notes in a small leather notebook. "We'll need to confirm the presence of those substances in your system," he explained. A forensic technician entered to draw blood and collect a lock of my hair. "If they gave you sedatives within the last week, we'll find traces." He reassured me that immediate action was already underway. Search warrants had been issued for my children's homes, and the banks had been notified to freeze all questionable transactions. Then he leaned forward, lowering his voice. "Miss Peterson, to make the case airtight, we'll need your help in a controlled operation. It means going back tonight, acting natural, and letting them talk. Are you willing to do that?" I sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the decision pressing against my chest. To return to that house, to face my own children knowing what they intended, felt unbearable. Yet, without proof, the law could not protect me fully. At last, I nodded. "If it saves my life and prevents them from doing this to anyone else, I will do it." Detective Pierce outlined the plan. They would equip me with a pair of glasses fitted with a tiny camera and a button microphone sewn discreetly into my blouse. A slim pen would serve as my lifeline. Press it twice, and a silent alarm would summon the team waiting nearby. A GPS tracker would monitor my movements at all times. The cover story was simple. Tessa would say she found me dizzy from the beach sun and brought me back to Jason's house to rest. My children would never suspect her loyalty had shifted. Pierce assured me this was not just about my safety. A parallel operation was targeting Victor the Razor Hale, the loan shark to whom my children owed nearly $400,000. Catching him alongside them would dismantle the entire chain of exploitation. I breathed deeply, steadying myself. Tonight, the truth would finally step into the light. At 8 o'clock that evening, Tessa drove me back to Jason's home. The familiar porch light glowed warmly, yet to me it felt like a warning beacon. My palms were damp as I touched the rim of the glasses, reminding myself that every word and gesture would be recorded. Jason greeted me at the door with a wide smile, too wide, as if stretched across his face like a mask. "Mom, you're back. We were worried." Camille hurried over with a glass of water, pressing it into my hands with almost desperate insistence. Brooke guided me toward the living room sofa, fussing with the pillows. Their care seemed exaggerated, rehearsed. I sat in the center of the couch while Camille perched on my right and Brooke on my left. Jason remained standing, his arms crossed, watching me as if evaluating an experiment. I forced a small laugh and rubbed my temple. The sun must have gotten to me today. "I'm still a little fuzzy." Jason leaned in. "That's why we need to simplify things for you, Mom. Less stress." I nodded slowly, remembering the detective's advice. "Draw them out. Let them feel safe." "About those papers I signed last week," I said softly. "I can't seem to remember what they were for. I was so confused after being so tired." The 3 of them exchanged quick glances. For the first time, I saw nervousness flicker across their carefully composed faces. Jason pulled up a chair across from me, his expression shifting from forced concern to calculated authority. "Mom, you don't need to worry about the details. We just want to make things easier for you. A joint account means less paperwork and no confusion." Camille leaned in, her tone soothing. "It's safer this way. You'll never have to struggle with bills again. We'll take care of everything." Brooke placed her hand lightly on mine. "It's only for your benefit, Mom. You deserve peace of mind." I kept my voice calm, though my heart thundered in my chest. "I see. And how much would make it easy for you? A little? Or most of it?" Jason hesitated before replying. Well, nearly all of it should be transferred. That way, if something unexpected happens, medical costs, emergencies, it's all under control. I tilted my head, watching him carefully. Interesting. Because when I checked my account last week, I saw $950,000 prepared for transfer. That seems like most of it. The room stiffened. Camille's smile faltered, Brooke pulled her hand back, and Jason's jaw tightened. I don't remember authorizing such a large movement of money, I added softly. Perhaps you can explain why it appeared without my knowledge. The silence that followed was heavier than any words. For the first time, their carefully crafted performance began to crack, and the truth pressed dangerously close to the surface. I leaned back against the cushions, allowing the pause to linger. Then I asked gently, "Tell me, is there some kind of deadline I don't know about?" Jason exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. "Fine, yes, there's a deadline." Camille's voice trembled as she added, "We owe $380,000 to Victor Hale. It's due Thursday. If we don't pay, he'll come after us." Brooke whispered, "We didn't have a choice, Mom. We were desperate." I kept my expression neutral, though my heart ached. "And how exactly were you planning to solve that problem?" Jason's eyes hardened. "If you weren't here anymore, everything would transfer to us immediately. We could cover the debt and start over." Camille avoided my gaze. "I researched medications, just enough to make you drowsy." Brooke admitted, her voice barely audible. "I called a funeral home about expedited cremation. They said it could be done within 24 hours. Jason lowered his voice to a near growl. "I was going to be with you when it happened. Quick, painless, no suspicion." Inside, I wanted to scream, to collapse under the weight of their betrayal. Instead, I remembered the detective's words, "Stay calm, let them speak." My fingers brushed against the pen in my pocket, my silent lifeline. "Thank you for being honest," I said softly, even as bile rose in my throat. "It seems everything is clearer now." For a moment, silence wrapped around the room like a suffocating blanket. Jason paced in front of me, restless, his eyes darting toward the window. Camille's fingers twisted the edge of a cushion, while Brooke chewed at her lip. They had confessed too much, and even they seemed to sense it. Then Jason's gaze snapped back to me. His brows furrowed. "Mom, why are you wearing that blouse? Didn't you have on a different one at the beach?" My pulse hammered. I forced a smile. I changed. The other felt too hot. Camille narrowed her eyes and glanced toward the street outside. "Jason, have you noticed the cars parked down the block? I swear they've been there all evening." Jason stepped closer, suspicion flashing in his eyes. His hand brushed my collar, and his fingers tapped against the tiny button make hidden in the fabric. His face drained of color. "It's a setup," he hissed. Jason's shout barely left his mouth before I pressed the pen in my lap twice. The silent signal shot through the room faster than my own fear. Within seconds, the front door burst open. Armed officers flooded the house, voices firm and commanding. "San Diego police. Hands where we can see them." Camille screamed, Brooke froze, and Jason raised his arms, rage twisting his face. Two detectives rushed to my side, guiding me gently away from the sofa as others secured my children. The tiny camera in my glasses had already captured every word, every admission. Through the officer's radio crackle, I heard confirmation. "Victor Hale is in custody. Ledgers, burner phones, and threat notes recovered. The network is down." Jason's eyes burned with betrayal. "You did this to us, Mom." I steadied myself, meeting his glare. My voice did not shake. "No, Jason. You did this the moment you put a price tag on my life." The trial began 3 months later in a crowded San Diego courtroom. Reporters filled the benches, though I tried to focus only on the truth, not the spectacle. The prosecutor laid out the evidence with methodical precision, recordings from my glasses, the forged bank documents, the sedatives confirmed in my blood, and the WhatsApp threads where my children discussed timelines and contingencies. The defense tried to argue duress. Jason claimed Victor Hale had forced them into desperation. Camille insisted she never meant to go through with it. Brooke said she was simply following her siblings' lead. Yet none of their words could erase the cold clarity of their voices on tape as they plotted my accident. When Tessa took the stand, she spoke with quiet strength about why she had come forward. "Because Miss Peterson treated me with dignity when no one else did," she said, her eyes glistening. "I could not stand by and let her be destroyed." The jury needed less than a day. guilty on conspiracy, attempted murder, and financial fraud. Jason, Camille, and Brooke were sentenced to 15 years each. Victor Hale received 20 for extortion and organized crime. As the verdict was read, I felt sorrow, but also something stronger, relief that the truth had prevailed. After the trial, the silence in my house no longer felt like fear. It felt like space to breathe again. Yet I knew I could not return to life as it had been before. My children were gone, and though my heart ached, I also understood that family is not defined only by blood. I turned toward the people who had proven themselves through loyalty. Tessa and her little girl, Ava, became a part of my daily life. I set up a small education fund for Ava and made sure Tessa had the security she deserved. She had risked everything to save me, and I wanted her to know she was no longer alone. But I also felt a pull to do more. With help from my church and community, I opened Beacon House for Seniors, a center where older adults could find legal guidance, counseling, and a safe place to share their fears without judgment. In the first months, we helped dozens of men and women stop financial manipulation before it could ruin their lives. It did not erase the betrayal I endured, but it transformed the pain into something that could protect others. Looking back, I see the warning signs more clearly than ever. I want to share them with you, because what happened to me could happen to anyone. First, never sign important documents under pressure or when you are tired, upset, or medicated. Take 24 hours before agreeing to anything. Second, always seek independent legal counsel. A lawyer paid by your children or relatives may not truly represent your interests. Third, set up safeguards at your bank. Dual authorization for large transfers and alerts for unusual activity can stop fraud before it starts. Fourth, manage your medications carefully. Use one pharmacy and ask the pharmacist to flag sedatives or unusual prescriptions. Fifth, build a circle of trust with people who have nothing to gain from your estate: neighbors, friends, or community leaders who will notice if something feels wrong. And finally, remember that it is never weakness to ask for help. Whether it's a hotline, adult protective services, or the police, reaching out early can save your life. At 78, I never imagined my own children would see me as a problem to be solved, rather than a mother to be loved. But I also never imagined I would find such courage in myself or such loyalty in someone outside my bloodline. The greatest lesson I carry now is that family is not just about blood. It is about loyalty, respect, and protection. True family members never demand blind trust, they earn it every single day. I know many of you watching may carry quiet worries about your own relatives, your finances, or your future. Please take this story as both a warning and a source of hope. Betrayal can wound deeply, but it can also push you to build new bonds rooted in truth. If this story has touched you, share it with a friend. Leave your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more stories, and remember, you are never too old to set boundaries and protect your peace. Months later, as I sat on my porch with Nora and her daughter beside me, I realized something profound. The laughter of a child, the quiet presence of a trusted friend, the comfort of a safe home, these were the things money could never buy. Gloria Peterson had lost 3 children to greed, but she had gained a daughter and a granddaughter through love and loyalty. And in that exchange, she discovered something priceless: the power to choose her own family. Every evening, when Valerie runs up to hug me and calls me Grandma Gloria, I know that my story didn't end with betrayal. It began again with trust. So if you are watching this right now and you feel alone, remember, you can still build family, even if it doesn't come from blood. Protect your heart, protect your dignity, and above all, protect your peace. Because your story is still being written.